everyone joining today. I'm trying a bit of different times for the Livenar, so if you've been before on the show, so to say, and are joining again, please let me know what time would be better for you, the lunchtime or this kind of afternoon time. So I'm just learning as we go with all of you, and I'm really appreciative of any feedback that you can give, be it about the organizational things or content and so on. And
sorry, Anna, can you hear me okay? Is everything? Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. Maybe you explain a little bit with the name Ragnar there, if people come in later on, so they understand.
Yeah, we will be talking about that. But for those who just joined, well, since we've started, Sesselía is here with us, but she is showing up as Ragnar because of the tech issues. I'm really grateful that there was a solution, right? And there was alternative that you, Sesselía, could join us anyways. So I usually start with a bit of admin things. I really want you, everyone, Genius leaders, utilize the possibility that we're joining here, or like we're gathering here in live constellation. So please comment, ask questions, share your experiences, share your insights, because this is the way for you to learn more, right? And get even more out of this conversation. Yes, there will be a replay. I'm making sure of that. It's already recorded. And I will put it up, but this is the way for you to get even more, right? And in case you have any questions that you feel like this is a sensitive topic and I don't really want anyone know that this is me asking this question, just send them to me in the chat personally. So you can pick in the chat, you can say to everyone, or you can say to Anna Liebel, and then I will name the question and we'll discuss it without saying who you are. So this is, again, another opportunity for you to get more insights and get your questions answered without getting too much into exposure, if that's uncomfortable. And without further ado, I would love to welcome you, Sesselía. Would you say Sesselía? How would you prefer?
Sesselía, Sessa, whatever
Sesselía.
is most comfortable for you. Yeah.
Let's take the most international option then.
Yeah.
So Sesselía, Sesselía, I'm so used already to saying the more Icelandic way. You have been invited because I really like your approach to digital transformations, and from our conversation with you, I got the feeling that we are on the same wave and the same understanding of how to succeed with those. And I think a lot of leaders who are listening or watching us having the challenges with the digital transformations, because that's part of the nowadays operations and part of nowadays strategies, and everyone has to go through that in one way or another, depending on the industry that we are acting in. And you also have the knowledge from different industries, so you can drop the knowledge pieces from that experience of yours. But I thought a lot of those digital transformations are failing, and it would be so useful to talk through your observations from the experience and also your education, because you have some theoretical knowledge in that area. What can help leaders set the organization up for success with the transformations? What have you learned? What kind of mistakes you're seeing? And yeah, just show it, like helping people to take the shortcuts in a good way, not in ways that will set them up for failure, but further on. But really those shortcuts that can help us avoid some pains and mistakes that can be avoidable.
Mm-hmm. And and that was the short question, right?
I mean, this is the whole agenda for today, for the hour that we're having.
Yeah, I have to say, I have to start with one thing. I think, I mean, my opinion is that it's impossible to be in business these days without considering the digital challenges. Actually, if you are striving to be in business without doing digital, it's going to be a very big challenge, I would assume. So I think it's safe to say that there is no organization that can actually say that they're not doing digital or going on a digital journey. Having said that, I would assume that everyone is actually dealing with some kind of digital transformation. But the scale is depending a bit on the organization. So I think that's the reality of most of organizations today. So therefore, it's not like something that we as a leader can choose whether we acknowledge and learn more about or ignore. We have to get comfortable with this, and we have to get comfortable with the speed of change. So I think that's one step, acknowledging it and saying, okay, this is the way we do business today and tomorrow. So that helps a lot, because in the past, or in the last couple of years, the tech companies has been driving this the conversation about digital transformation, and they have been driving it from the force of selling more technology. So, but I think it was McKinsey who did a massive research on how many of digital efforts actually succeed. And I think the conclusion, if I remember correctly, but I'm quite sure, 1/3 of any digital effort within organizations fail. And that's mostly, their finding were that it was mostly due to the fact that it's a change process. That's the key word here. It's a change process. You're changing something. And when you're changing something, you're dealing with people. You're changing behavior, either of your customer or your employees, or maybe both, and you're dealing with people. And then it becomes tricky. Then it becomes really, really tricky, because it's not just about the technology and the capabilities of the technology, it's about the other more complex factors. Actually, the culture and the way we actually interact, and how people actually are wired towards the change. So that has been my passion in the last, at least in the last couple of years, to inspire people to deal with this side of the change, the culture side, and the people, and doing so also through the leadership style of how you approach that in the change process. Are you following me?
I am. Genius leaders joining us live, just let us know in the comments whether you are following. And this is exactly the reason why I invited you to have this conversation, because this is the mindset and awareness shift that we need to happen in businesses, so that people can actually succeed, people and organizations can actually succeed with the transformations. But what do you think, Sesselía, why is this misconception so present, so omnipresent, if we can say?
Yeah, but I think it's also because of what forces have been leading the conversation or the education on digital transformation. And it has been the big tech companies. And also because I worked for the biggest tech company in Iceland a couple of years back. So I know that they have been creating the urge for the change. So it's coming from the tech side. But after more and more organizations start to deal with the journeys, and then they realize, okay, it's more complex than actually just the tech solution. You can have a fantastic tech solution, but if you're not sure what you're going to solve with it and how you're going to utilize it, it will most likely fail. And I think having said that, at the beginning, that it's actually a change process, and talk a lot about the change and get to, lift that word within your organization. Everything is changing, not just on the outside, and we don't need to do anything about it. Just get comfortable with the change. And I find that very challenging task. Me as a leader, I have been working with that in the past years. Like, I mean, you hear sentences like inside your organizations all the time, like, oh, everything is changing so fast, and we have gone through so much, and we've always done it like that, and it's worked fine, and so on and so on. Helping people to get more comfortable with everything is going to change, and it's going to be okay. because we are actually going to get good at changing as well. So it's going to be okay. I think that's a key word. And if that becomes your mantra, is that the English? Yeah.
Yes.
If that becomes your mantra, you get more comfortable with like being uncertain about what you need to do and how to solve things, and being a little bit like testing out and so on. So I think that's very important, to embrace the word change. Everything is changing on the outside, but actually we are going to get good at it as well. So let's get going. But
may I interrupt you here? Because I really want to get into the details here. How on the daily basis do you do it as the leadership team of the organization? How do you embrace change?
Yeah.
How do you make it part of the culture to actually like it, or first of all, accept it, and secondly, really become passionate as the whole organization and the whole culture that, hey guys, this is, if we get good at this, at making changes, we're going to be good at everything. So how do you bring that into the organization?
I mean, that's a fantastic question. I think you do it by doing, like with every good, if you want to change something, you need to do it like so many times that when you are bored of doing it, keep doing it, because then you're almost there. I think it's also, if I reflect on, like, to give you a practical example, like I was working in the past 1.5 years in the transformation of Icelandic Post, and like I think in almost maybe every meeting we talked about the customer needs and the change in the customer needs and how we were gonna transform to meet the customer's need, and that we were actually going to get better and better at it, to listen to the customer and changing and that's how I think we were doing the dripping to the stone. Actually talk a lot about the customer changing, but it's okay, we're also trying to change as well. And then also to remember to pause and embrace when we have tried something out and actually done some changes in our routine, and we did a lot of that in the Icelandic Post. Just to pause and say, hey, let's celebrate, we did that, and let's just have a cake and have a wrap-up meeting and talk about what was challenging. We talked a lot about what was challenging and what was rewarding, and a lot about, maybe a little bit about feelings as well, sounding sentimental, but we did that a lot, actually, especially in COVID, when we needed to change a lot very fast, and we were having more demand than we actually thought we could handle, but somehow we got through it. And then we talked a lot about the emotions involved in changing so fast. It was challenging, it was causing anxiety, it was causing like just a lot of human feelings, and we talked about it, and it helped a lot, getting more comfortable with like, okay, we are getting quite good at this change thing. So
did you have the prerequisites in the culture at the company, like at the Icelandic Post, for example, to be open to those emotional conversations about feeling, and how do you actually get to that level? Because it also requires quite a lot of work.
It starts with the leaders. It starts with the leaders. I remember the first at home meetings we were having. I always, with my team, I always started the meeting with like asking, how are you guys feeling? How are you feeling with being at home? How are you feeling with, how's your family feeling? And I got some feedback, but I could feel I was not getting the real feedback. Like I was not getting, it's very challenging. I'm super tired and I almost want to lock in my kid and so on. So, but then I opened up about and I thought it was very challenging. I missed them and I missed the creativity in the group work and so on and so on. And they started to open up as well then. And then we created the base level of, okay, the trust level. We don't need to have it all figured out. We can just go through this process together. And actually, I have to say, I was super proud of them. We got quite good at like being comfortable within a super stressful situation, because we were not only like dealing with a lot of demand lot of demand, but very hard restrictions as well. So it was super stressful, and a lot of hate from outside because people wanted the regular service level. So, but yeah, but that's I hope that gives you some example. But I think it's very important to talk about it, and not talk about it as something to fear. Do you get me? Not talk about something, oh, the world is changing, everything is changing so fast, and we just need to try to keep up, and actually talk about it as something, okay, it's just like a muscle. If we continuously work out on this muscle, we actually get quite strong and quite good at adjusting to change as well.
And before we go further, because I'm pretty sure there is more to discuss, I again going even deeper with the practical tips to those leaders who are watching us or listening to us, who think, yeah, I get it, I need to be the vulnerable person, I need to speak about my feelings, but I'm paralyzed whenever I try to do it, or I have no clue how to. What would you say, how to take this first step?
Yeah, I think it's also that you need to be comfortable with what kind of leader you want to be. I mean, there are many ways to establish the trust level. So if you're not comfortable talking about your feelings or creating that kind of environment, I think you should not go there, actually. But there are many ways to acknowledge the change and encouraging the team to be good at dealing with the change than to actually go to the feeling level. But that's something I find useful for me. It's authentic for me, and it works for me and my team. So that's what I can recommend. But I think you have to be authentic, because otherwise you're just faking it, and your team will see through it.
That is so true.
Yeah, but you can encourage others to share their feelings, and if that helps, but just remember to be careful with that, because if people start doing that, you need to be very discreet and respect it.
Yeah, that's great. And actually that transitions really well to what you otherwise talk a lot in the context of the digital transformation, and that is leadership styles and leadership skills. Would you like to maybe tell us, what I ask every guest of mine, what is leadership to you and who is a leader? And also, how can you find your style and how can you develop your skills? So it's 4 questions in one.
Yeah, my opinion is that leaders have never been as important in organizations as today, because our role is, if I can say our role, okay, we assume we're all leaders, let's say that, is actually to set the vision, to create the drive, to make the purpose, and to set the vision of where we're going, and not to decide maybe in details how to get there. And I saw a great picture of the difference between a leader and management. You've probably seen this many times. It's the management is a detailed decider. The leader is the visionary, where we're going, and helping people to get there. And I relate to that. I think that's extremely important, and especially with the digital challenges. And I can see, I've seen a huge change in the digital assignments I worked on for years, when we set a clear vision of where we're going, what problem we are solving, and why we're solving this problem in this particular order, and for whom we are solving it. Is it for the client? Is it to get faster and better within our organization? Is it for the employee? For whom are we solving the problem? And why? That aligns the digital and the technical assignments on another level. Do you follow?
Yeah.
So that's it's extremely important to start with actually analyzing and being able to communicate and explain what problem are you solving, for whom, and where you're going with it, and why. So if you're not able to do that on a 1 slide or 2 slide or 3 slide or 50 slide, I don't mind. Then you have a problem. Then you're just implementing a technology, and it's probably never going to work, because the people are not understanding it. You're probably not solving a problem for your client, and the things that need to align around it, they're probably not going to. So I think, and having set the vision and having explained very well for the group that is working on this particular assignment what they're solving. I mean, if you do it in the beginning, you need to do it over and over and over again. That's very important. So you need to revisit this vision slide or the purpose slide over and over and over again, because as you start, I hope you relate to this, but as you start your assignment, you get ideas and things involve, and you maybe also want to do that and that and that, and maybe then you're moving away from your purpose and what you're actually solving. Maybe it's a good idea, but it's like maybe you're going into the wrong direction. So revisiting the purpose and the vision, and so that's the leadership role, I would say, within the transformation, and encouraging people, because I worked in the startup business for years, and I know the mountains and the valley very well, too well maybe, and that's the digital journey is the same. It goes, you're extremely high, and I mean you're on the top of the mountain, you're conquering the world, and then you're like, it's not turning out the way you wanted to, and then you need to go off the mountain again, and then it's like, because it's a journey. So that's important, but to set the vision and create the passion with the vision.
I had one of the guests on my podcast, Genius Leadership Podcast, was Hjalmar Gíslason. You might know him.
Yeah. Oh, and he's great.
He was talking about how they keep their focus, so to say, on their vision, that they have 5 values and they are on the wall, seen to everyone in the office, and every decision and every direction they are going through and they're discussing, they ask themselves, is it fulfilling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those 5 values? Are we proud of what we're doing, and so on and so forth? So that is what you're talking about, revisiting the vision, and that is so important to ask those questions that you mentioned. Why are we doing it? For whom? Because those are things that we can easily forget in the beginning when we are so excited to start. Sometimes we're like, oh, this is a problem. And that reminded me a comic cartoon that I've seen on the coffee machine in one of the workplaces I've been to. They was saying, the first picture was, our teams have to handle 15 different systems to get the product to the market. And then the management team is on the second picture, like, oh no, we need to fix that. And then 6 months later, our teams have 16 systems to use to get the product on the market. So instead of creating one technical solution that can actually get all those pieces together, we're creating one more to handle. And it just keeps growing and growing. And that's, I think, coming back to what you're saying. Why are we solving this problem? What is this problem, and for whom? So revisiting those things on a constant basis, not only in the beginning of the project and then towards the end, or at the biggest milestones throughout the project, but really on a daily basis. Just make those check-ins on a habit in the meetings that you're having with the team. That can really be a game changer.
One of the first things I did in the Icelandic Post, I'm a big believer in customer journey mapping. Also, especially when you're new to some process or journey. So actually, what I did in the first 2 weeks in the Icelandic Post, I went through every customer or service channel as a customer. So I went through it as a customer, and then I went through it as an employee. So I delivered 42 packages to the door and worked with the technology and did everything. And then I worked in the post office for a day, and then I came back because I had more questions. I worked in the post office. Of course, you get a little bit when you're on executive director, you get a little bit exclusive treatment. But still, I wanted to understand the process for the customer and for the delivery part. And then we did a customer journey mapping of that, and then you can actually vividly just see the pain points of the customer. And when we start to talk about it in the meetings, solving the problems, or we want to focus on this part and solve that part, and then we need to do what, we actually, after a couple of months, we had a different idea of the problem. We said like, oh, it's not that big of a problem. And then we revisit the journey. Okay, do we really want to ask our customers to go through this particular journey? I mean, we need to change it. Oh yeah, okay, that was the purpose of the assignment. Yeah, okay, we're changing that. That's why it's so important to analyze what is the problem, and how you don't need to actually to answer how you're going to solve it, because that you figure out. But analyze the problem and make sure that after a certain time you have a different journey for the customer. Like in that case, are you following me? So
absolutely.
make sure you know what you're aiming to solve. And I often use it's similar that if you're building a house, you would never build a house without having the house mapped out, or at least a Pinterest picture of the house. I want the house like that. I mean, you would never just start and see where we go and start with some kind of a wall there and wall there, like we're used to with the tech companies selling us great solutions, and we don't know how to utilize them and make the most of it. So be able to know, be sure that you know what problem you're solving and what you want to create. So that's the biggest challenge.
This was a great tip, I think, the practical thing, how you can actually make sure that you're clear on what is this digital transformation for, why are we embracing on this journey. Really put yourself in the shoes of different stakeholders, like you did in the beginning of your job with the post. That just really gives you the perspective. And then also bringing that back to the team and showing, hey, this is what we're facing. This is what our customers are having pains with, and this is what our employees in the post offices struggle with on a daily basis. Then it's different mindset that you can create in the team. And as you said, you just really remind that, okay, this is the pain point we're solving at the moment. Will this solution help us? Yes, no. And then just really keep getting this buy-in of the team that way. But have you had any resistance in whichever team which you worked with, not necessarily the post, when coming with this customer journey and showing the pain points? And did you have any situations when part of the team or the whole team would say, we still don't buy it, or we don't have the resources for that, or whatever? So that kind of resistance to going on the whole journey.
I would not say yes and no, but people are maybe thinks that they know about the problems that the customers are facing. They know about it, but actually they don't have the solution to it yet. But if you give them the encouragement that we're just going to focus here and we're going to find a solution to this, and we're going to do it together, and it's going to be okay. We don't need to have all the answers now. We're just going to go on that journey. Then they get more comfortable with opening up to it. But I think it's extremely important for every leader to go to the floor, so to say, in every situation, to see how it's actually working, to understand the pain that you're solving, or you want your team to solve better, to actually understand the customer or the processes. And you don't need to go into every single detail, but you actually need to see the problem. It's ridiculous. It's like being a surgeon and you never see the cancer. I mean, it's building something in a glass house. But I think that's very important. But no, I think I've never experienced full-on resistance to the idea. But maybe, like, if I can, I hope I can explain it more. Like, I was exhausted. We have seen this problem for so long, and we know about it, but we're actually just like, what to do.
What did you do in those kind of conversations?
Just like trying to assure them we're not going to solve everything at once. We're going to focus on this, and where do you think we need to start, and get the buy-in by doing that. And this, we are going on this journey. We're changing this and this, but we do it by doing one thing at a time, and we're going to do it together. And it's going to be a change process, and we're going to get better and better and better at it as a team. So don't worry, we're going to go there. So instead of like, because usually the human side of, I mean, of people, we start to explain why things are the way they are. You can probably all relate to that. People like, oh, it's because of that and that and that, and that's quite normal. It's like that for a reason. But sometimes you need just to pause and say, okay, but do we want to continue having it like that? If not, we need to change, and we need to change it, and we're going to do it together. So, yeah.
I think those are two great tips, just to summarize the answer for all the participants. First of all, focus on the bite sizes. Really don't try to tackle the whole issue, and focus on like one step at a time, while keeping the vision clear of what is this step getting us closer to. And you as a leader, it's your responsibility to connect those dots. You know, it's like jumping in the fog on the stones. Like you are in a swamp and there are some stones and you need to jump between them. And the thing is that you need to keep going to then, it's always easier to connect the dots looking backwards. Like, yeah, that's the way I've done it. That's the way I've come. But you need to have the faith, and you as a leader need to have this vision and be this inspiration for people to actually take this step to the next stone. And believe that, okay, you have their hand, you will pull them, or you will kind of support them if they start falling off that stone, so that you actually are there. And that's the second part of your answer, how I would like to summarize it, that you first of all need to focus on, let's take a tiny step. Let's take it as maybe some kind of experiment. We don't have to we don't have to have the solution now, and we're not necessarily going to succeed with it, but we'll learn on the way. And then just be present for your people on the way. Really show that we are doing it together. It's not like I delegated it to you. Here is my vision. Here you go. Come and report in half a year. You really need to be part of the process on a daily basis.
But I think it's also very important to, that's a very good summarization, but I think it's also very important to trust. I mean, I dislike the micromanagement style, because especially in a complex tasks like the digital transformation tasks, because it's a journey. There are going to be a lot of milestones. It's actually just the way we are doing business these days. It's just like about digital milestones all the way through. And you need to trust your teams to come with the best solution. You just need to guide them where to go and keep them focused on one problem at a time, and encourage them and help them when they get stuck, maybe with some extra oxygen here and there. That's the most important part, I would say. Yeah.
How do you build trust?
Just by, like I said, acknowledging that this is not an easy journey. It's everything is changing, but it is okay. It's like, I think about it like, how do you trust your family? How do you feel like, how do you trust the comfort zone of your family surrounding? I'm sitting at my home, so I'm watching. So you create that trust by, like, it's not always easy to be a family member, but you know that you're going to be there for me when it gets tough, and you're also going to be there with me when we get super happy about something. And that's the same with the teams and leading the teams, I would say.
It's a commitment, and it's a ongoing work, right? You're never done with it. It's something that you need to keep practicing, keep working on every day.
Yeah. And there's something I learned in the Icelandic Post that like stick with me, and I've thought a lot about. We worked. Oh God! And now I don't have the English word for it. Meðvirkni.
There are enough Icelandic people here in the chat. Just drop it on the
meðvirkni. It's not that. It's like the word that we don't accept. If we dislike something, or we have something to say, or there and there is a behavior that we don't like, we talk about it. We don't approve a behavior that is we don't like or is not accepted for our culture. We talk about it, and we say, okay, this is not something we. And I worked a lot with that. I was trained actually in the last 1.5 years to work with that through a leadership program, and that helped me a lot dealing with difficult change situations, because we also went through a very painful change in the Icelandic Post. We had to resign a lot of great people in the journey of the organization change, and it helped a lot to be able to talk about the things that were difficult and we needed to address, instead of like just silencing and being afraid of talking about things.
Avoiding that conversation. So what was your biggest learning on how to dive into those conversations, to dive through them, so to say, to get on the other side?
Just get through the heart rate. Just get through the discomfort, heart rate, when you sit in a room with someone and say, I need to talk to you about this. This is not something we can continue doing, and so yeah, just go through it. Try to stay calm and honest and authentic, and go through it.
What helped you stay calm?
I was not always calm, but I tried. I'm human. I mean, I think the great HR team that we had, and also the program we got a lot of support from the HR team and this leadership program. Like also just talking about what was difficult for us and we as a leader need to do more of and less of, and so on. That helped me a lot.
I think here you're tapping into another very important thing that I try to bang into the heads of my clients and my audience as well, that you never should stay alone with your struggles.
No.
And usually as a leader, you see yourself like, yes, I am the captain of the ship and I have the highest responsibility and so on. So it's on me, it's on my shoulders and so on. Find someone outside of your organization who can help you. Or as you said, HR within your organization, it's their role to support every single person so that we can all thrive. Yeah. So it's really important to remember that you need to be to have your support circle, to have someone to lean onto, maybe cry onto their shoulder, come with the difficult situations. Like with my clients, for example, we sometimes go through the conversations that they're dreading in their work, and we do the play role. And I can be that employee with whom they need to take the tough conversation, or we can turn the tables and they are that employee. So we just play through those situations and then we discuss it. Okay, what was uncomfortable here? Why did you ask this question here? What was your thought? What was intention with coming to this conversation in general, and so on. And just by playing through that scenario, you get a totally different way of seeing it. And you also get the support, and your brain is not that afraid of the situation anymore because you've already been in it. And your brain kind of is stupid enough to forget that, okay, that was actually just kind of a play with my coach or my leadership consultant, that it was not for real that I've done this conversation. So that helps, and that's what you can do. And it can be someone who is in the same role but in different organization. As we said, it can be some HR person, maybe it's a mentor of yours, maybe you have some kind of mastermind group or a network, professional network. It can also be some friend of yours who is in totally different industry and totally different role, but you're like, this person's perspective can actually help me, or just their support can help me.
Yeah. Absolutely right. I totally agree, and I think it's very important. So also, if you think about leaders, they need to drive the vision. They need to okay, here we are going there, and we have a purpose, and we are aligned. Come on, it's gonna be great. And they need to have the passion and drive the vision, and also they need to create the safety around the organization or the team to do what needs to be done to get there. So I think it's extremely important also because leaders, they are human. They get tired and they get, I mean, they need to get inspiration and so on and help. I've worked with many leaders that actually would have benefit of getting a good trust conversation and help. So absolutely, you're right.
How do you actually keep the passion as the leader? You said that nowadays the primary goal of a leader is to be the messenger of that vision, right? And to keep the passion and to support the whole team on the way there. So how you yourself stay passionate about the vision that you see in front of you?
I was hoping that this question would not come up.
Sorry.
It really exposes my craziness in a way.
I love crazy people on the show.
Yeah. But I try to find the greater purpose of my job, if to say so. Like I need to be, for example, with the Icelandic Post, I was convinced that we were actually changing the way Icelanders would do internet shopping just by changing the delivery part. So we were not just changing the delivery part, we were affecting the whole retail economy system as a whole. So that drove me up every morning. Like I have a great purpose in life. So maybe it sounds a little bit crazy, but that inspired me actually. And I tend to do that with everything I do. I tend to find like, okay, if we go all the way there, how are we gonna affect and change more than actually just what we are doing in our little bubble? So that's what I do.
Crazy? For me, it just makes total sense, and that's what I work with with my clients, and also when my friends come to me, because for me it is about building your legacy, and building your legacy can be about whatever. It can be through your family and bringing up your kids as the humans that you want to see in this world. It can be about your business. It can be about your employment. It can be about your community, volunteer work, and so on. So why do you think it's crazy?
No, I mean it's a more like a personal joke. We joke about it in the group of friends. Like, why can you not just work with the Icelandic Post and changing? Why is that not enough? Because you see all the potential, but it gives me drive and it gives me a purpose and it drives me. And I think that's very important because if you, it's very important for the leaders to find a real passion to what you're doing. And believing in the journey. I think so. So at least for me, because I try to lead with my heart, so to say.
I think most of the leaders nowadays, those successful ones that are changing this world, they are driven the same way as you are, Sesselía. So you're not alone.
No, this is good.
Talking again
Not
about
crazy.
the practical, crazy in a good way, maybe. Talking about the practical tips again, how do you find that passion of yours? So like when, for example, now just a month ago, you changed from the Post to Hagar. What drove that decision, and how did you connect your big vision for the whole future of yours, or like the whole life of yours, to what you were invited to do at Hagar?
Yeah, I just recently took a position as a head of innovation and marketing at Hagar. Hagar is the biggest retailer company in Iceland, big in groceries. Basically, the CEO of Icelandic Post, we shared the same vision, and he left the company, and we came into the company together with the same vision. So when he left, I decided to leave as well, to be honest, and then I got the offer from Hagar, and I have the same vision there. I think retail is going through a lot of change, like, I mean, all industries basically, but retail is going through a lot of change. And also in Iceland, the online retail business is maybe not as mature as in Europe or in Scandinavia. So I think we have a lot of potential there to grow and develop and innovate. And the company is actually very eager to do so, and I thought the drive was there, and so I got the offer, and I simply joined their team in the beginning of January. So I'm just getting to know the company and the great people that work there, and getting settled in these days, but I'm still out to change the world as always. But that's not
you decide,
change.
right, whether you're allowed or not.
Yeah. We see.
Great. May I go a bit deeper into this decision of yours when the CEO of Post left? You have followed him because of his vision. This again shows the importance of the visionary leadership, right? And for you, what were the feelings or the thoughts? What were the struggles with that, just coming with that decision that you're still in the middle of the journey? You've done so much in those 1.5 years. The Post has been transformed enormously, but there is still a way to go, right? This decision for you to take on different journey or take a turn.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit personal question, but there comes, it's okay, it's fine. But there comes a moment like where you just simply have to ask yourself, because also when you drive things like I drive them, it's through passion and through vision, and just like through the emotional part of it. So if that shared vision, or maybe like he and I had a very like similar vision, and the company has a very strong vision. Yet I'm not saying that it's a very, very good management team there, a good, strong company. But then it's probably fair to ask yourself, okay, maybe it's better if someone else lead this great team and create the passion that the team needs, and maybe that was the decision for me. It's better for me to step back and have someone else, because the team deserves it, because there are very, very good people in there.
So you felt like you've given everything you could for there. There was, the needs has changed, so you were not the best fit, basically.
Yeah, actually, and they needed. It was fair to them to give them a strong leader that would lead them to the next chapter.
Yeah, I brought this up. Sorry for going into the personal area of that, but for me, it's very important to tackle those, or to cover those questions here as well, about the tough parts of the leadership, because those are also, this decision for you of yours is showing again that you are committed to your people. You are responsible for the going and getting to that mission, right? And if you see that, okay, you are getting in the way instead of leading the way, it can be a very tough decision, but it's important to take those and be brave, and also show to your team by action that this is how we work, this is how we live our mission and get to our vision. I see a hand.
Actually, a very, very good phrase of that. I was actually seeing that I would probably or might get in the way if I would continue on that journey. So that it was a very tough decision. It was an extremely tough decision, because we had a great team, and there was a lot of trust and a lot of success, and so it was a very tough decision. But it was a very good phrase you said there, and I foresaw that I would get in the way instead of leading the way. Yeah.
And that's why I want to bring those things up, because there the ego can come up, right? Like, now we're on a roll. Now all these changes that we've been fighting for, all these customer journey conversations that we have been having, hours and hours spent on getting the clarity and so on, starting to implement. Now we see the results, and just stepping back in that fun part of the journey, just because it's not about you. It's about the others, right? Both your employees and the customers that you work for. This is a very brave decision.
It was difficult, but I hope I know it was the right one. It was the right one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for your honesty and openness. I see a hand raised here by Brynje Maur. If you want to unmute yourself, if you want to ask anything, happy to hear.
Yes. Hi, Sesselía. Thanks for a great presentation.
Hi, Brynje.
I have a question. Do you have any experience doing digital transformation on internal processes? For example, like how the company are communicating with employees, how they are applying for grants and things like that? Because you talked a lot about customers, and we can definitely define employees as a customer as well. But I haven't seen many companies focusing on that. They're always focusing on external customers.
That's a great question. I have a lot of experience on that as well. Couple of projects coming up as well. But I think the process is always the same. Defining your customer. It can be internal customer. It can be changes in the operation to be able to solve problems on a better speed and more efficiency. And it can be external customer. So, but I think companies are these days focusing, luckily, a lot on the internal assignments too, because there's a lot of waste going on in companies with the use of technology internally. So there's a lot of improvement areas there that can be, but I think the journey is very similar, to set out the vision. Why are we doing it? What problem are we solving? And for whom in the beginning? And then to get the leaders on board, to get the leaders to buy in on the vision, and to get your digital champions to be like supporting the journey. And then going into the assignment part of it, or the project part of it, to just like break it down into a project, and then we have this picture of, or the vision of where we want to be in a certain time. So
would you use like personas and things like that for that as well? Or okay.
Maybe not personas, but a lot of like journey mapping. Are you talking about HR processes, or are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm working as a HR manager, and I'm really interested in how we can do our processes more digital, or
I have been I've talked to a couple of HR managers and suggested that they would actually look into the same process of customer journey mapping, just for the employee mapping, like the considering the states and the onboarding states and the life journey states of the employee, actually, and see how technology is supporting that journey. And then you see if you see a lot of dots adding up at the same touch point, then you have a problem. If there are a lot of tech solutions supposed to take care of communication to your employee, then you have a problem. Then you have a pain. So I would say that the process or the framework is could be similar. I'm not in all cases. But there's one point I wrote down, like, don't forget communication. Actually, it says here, don't forget communication. Communication in the change assignments is extremely important. Communicate and communicate and communicate. And I mean, when you think you have communicated your vision and where you're going and how it's going, and you need to continue, then you're not communicating enough. And I think that we did quite well in the Icelandic Post, I would say, for my part. We communicated a lot. The transparency was quite good, and we were always telling why do we need to do that, and how is it going, and where we're going to start, and so on.
Can I ask what channel you used? Because it's quite a big company and different people with a different background, and probably most of them not sitting with a computer every day, or?
We used all of them. We just literally we used all of them. We used like the workspace, what is it called, the Facebook for workplace, yeah. And we used video recording. We used online meetings where we're talking about the processes of the assignments and talking about the pains and obstacles we were seeing and what we learned on the journey and so on. But just internal talk, sharing the pain and sharing the challenges. We used emails. We used like all the medias we could, and also the external medias as well. We used like I was having lectures about just sharing the journey, what we were facing and what we were doing. And Birgir, the CEO, was doing a lot of interviews talking about where we wanted to go and so on and so on. So both internal and external, we used just like talk some more.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Virginia. Do you see that as one of the challenges for leaders to have enough time and maybe resource to communicate enough? Or what do you think is the issue there? Why would leaders not communicate enough?
I think we are coming a little bit from the old media habits, like because my background is also marketing. So when you were doing marketing in like 10 years back, you produce a marketing material, and then you were good for 6 months, like covering the marketing and sending it out. But these days, I mean, marketing material dies within a couple of hours even, or at least a couple of days. So you need constantly to be creating content. And to be able to do so, you need to create agile content, so to say. I mean, fast moving content. And then you become more raw, like just facing the camera and saying, okay, like our CEO, he just sent a message like taking a walk in COVID and like sending, okay, I'm happy, papa, just talking to the camera, because it's an internal message. It doesn't need to be polarized and it's not an advertisement. And when we got to the habit of doing so, and we built a studio, so we were able to cut and produce the material ourselves in more speed than ever before. And that helped a lot as well, to get the internal capabilities to record and so on. So that helped a lot. And don't overthink it, just share it.
That is important to remind yourself all the time about. I just today had a conversation with my accountability coach from the mentorship program where I'm going, how to simplify things and how I sometimes overcomplicate stuff, and that stops from implementing, right, or trying, experimenting. So yeah, it's good reminder to keep it simple.
And it's also, we are trying to train the people in the organization to move faster and deal more faster with change. And then we cannot allow ourselves to sit back and just like take forever to create one video content. And come on, you need to walk the talk. You need to look, be fast. And sometimes it's not perfect, but at least you get it out there in time. And because you need to drip the stone.
Perfect action. That's the important part.
Yeah.
Sessa, 3 last questions I always ask. First one is 3 pieces of advice for you, of yours, to our genius leaders listening or watching. What it can be both personal and professional. What would you recommend them?
I would recommend them to know where they're going, or take their time to like get a vivid picture of where do we want to go, and not like get that and just like how would I feel when we get there, to get the passion going. And then then I would recommend to them to listen and listen to the problem that they want to solve, and that's by listening they're mapping out the journey. Because if you listen, you hear the pain, and then you map out your journey and where you need to go. And then I would advise them to focus on the culture and the people, to understand the culture and the people of the company. Because if you understand the company and the people and how they actually are, who are your change champions and who are your submarines that go under and sabotage everything, and who are we afraid of change, or are we like, how does your organization work? Then you understand better how fast you can move. Because a very wise man told me 1.5 years ago, I mean, you can never move faster than your team. So that stick with me, because I'm a quite high-paced person. So and if you understand the culture of a company and the DNA of your company, so to say, then you know more what you need more of and what you need less of in order to change.
That's a great tip, and I really like the reminder that you can't move faster than your team, because then you're not a team anymore and you're not a leader.
No. Then you're just doing your race on your own somewhere.
Exactly. One practical piece of advice: what can our genius leaders tuning in do today to become better with the digital transformation, or just be better leaders or better human beings?
I would probably say, like, accept the change, accept it, like sit in it, accept it. If you're into spiritual things, just sit in it, like, and just meditate in it and say, like, I'm accepting it. Everything is changing on a very high speed, and I'm accepting it, and I'm gonna be comfortable with it. Because if you're comfortable with it, then you're not closed off towards, like, then you're not seeing everything that is not possible and all the obstacles, and like then you're like embracing it in a way, saying, oh, it's bringing us a lot of opportunities, and it's going to be great for us because we are going to get so good in changing and so on. And then you're not fighting it. Because I listen out for a couple of things inside organizations. I listen out how they talk about the external environment. Everything is changing so fast that rings a bell for me. And I also listen out for how they could talk about the customers. And I also listen out on the mindset. If people are talking a lot about what is not possible, or we cannot do that, and we cannot do that because of that and that and that, or if they're talking about the opportunities, because that's also the mindset.
Yeah, and that you can also do with yourself, not necessarily looking within the organization.
Absolutely, because it's the mindset, and also the mindset towards the change. Maybe to work on the mindset towards the change, to sum it up.
Love it.
Yeah.
I want to wrap up with a question: if people want to get more of you, or if they want to, for example, dig deeper into digital transformation but can't speak Icelandic because most of your content is Icelandic, right? What would you recommend? How people can reach out to you, or which resources would you guide people to?
Yeah, I mean, but absolutely send me requests through LinkedIn. Any questions, any comment you have. My name is not Ragnar Fjallar. I'm sorry about that. I had my computer actually just wasn't able to upload Zoom for some reason. And send me just through message on LinkedIn. You can find my email there. I would love to hear from any of you if you have any questions, because I love to also get to know other leaders and to share knowledge and experiences. Absolutely.
Great. Yeah, I will share your page, LinkedIn page, with everyone who registered in the email. And just reach out to Sesselía or me, and let's continue the conversation online.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Sesselía, for joining us, and thank you everyone for participating, and I hope that you got something that answers your questions about the digital transformation and the human challenges to it, and you got some inspiration to embrace the change.
Oh,
Thanks,
I
everyone.
love it. My honor. Thank you. Thank you all for listening. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.